Hello, welcome back to the brand new session of Certified Ethical Hacking Program. And in this session, we are going to discuss module number 7, malware and threats. Or you can say malware threats. Yeah, this is a very confusing words, but the primary objective of this module are to provide knowledge about various type of malware and to illustrate how to perform malware analysis. This module presents different types of trojans, backdoor viruses, and worms, explains how they work and propagate to spread on the internet, describes their symptoms and discuss their consequences along with various malware analysis techniques such as static, dynamic malware analysis, and so on. So it also different discuss different ways to protect networks or system resource for the malware infections. So let's start this module. Okay, so the first point is introduction to malware. So malware is a malicious software that damages or disable computer systems and gives limited or full control of the systems to malware creator or malware activities such as theft or fraud. So malware includes viruses, worms, trojans, rootkits, backdoors, botnets, ransomware, spyware, adware, screeware, crapware, roughware, cryptors, keyloggers, and so on. So this may delete files, slow down computers, steal personal information, send spam, or commit fraud. So malware can perform various malicious activity ranging from simple mail advertising to complex identity theft and password stealing. So, malware programmers develop and use malware to attack browsers and track website visited, then slow down systems and degrade system performance, cause hardware failures, rendering computers inoperable, then steal personal information, include contacts, erase valuable information, resulting in substantial data loss, then it will use to attack additional computer system directly from a compromised system, and it can be used spam inboxes with advertising emails. So the next point is different ways for malware to entering a system. So I have kept 12 points in my slide. The ways for malware to enter a system. It may be instant messenger application like Mozilla Firefox instant messenger, right? Or maybe the Google Chrome instant chat. Then the second is portable hardware media removable devices like pen drive, flash drive. Then browser and email software bugs. Maybe if you are using the less secure browser, then yes, it may be possibilities. Then fourth, insecure patch management. Maybe you got some tool and that is insecure and you install in your system. Then rogue decoy applications, it should be possible. Then untrusted sites and freeware web application software. Maybe you are getting some money or something like those kind of fraud, and you just clicked on any untrusted sites or maybe a freeware web application. So yes, it may be possible. Then downloading files from the internet, email attachment. If you got any advertisement like something like that you want 12 crore rupees or something like that, then yes, we can click on that particular email attachment. Network propagation is also there. File sharing services, which we discussed in the enumeration tools. Then installation by other malware, yes, it could be possible. Then Bluetooth and wireless networks. If you if you clicked on some less secure wireless connection or maybe the Bluetooth connection. So these are the ways that how it is possible to get the malware into our system or maybe into the victim system. Now, if I just talk about the point of view from the ethical hacker, so there are some common techniques attackers use to distribute malware on the web. So like you can say some standard techniques used to distribute malware on the web, like black hat search engine optimization, that is possible, compromise legitimate websites, malvertising, then spear phishing sites, social engineering, clickjacking. So I will just give you the one liner for these particular techniques. So if I just talk about the black hat search engine optimization, black hat SEO, also referred as unethical SEO, uses aggressive SEO tactics such as keyword stuffing, inserting doorway pages, page swapping, and adding unrelated keywords to get higher search engine ranking for malware pages. Second is social engineering, clickjacking. Attackers inject malware into website that appears legitimate to trick users into click them, and when clicked, the malware embedded in the link executed without the knowledge or consent of the user. Then third is spear phishing site. This technique is used for mimicking legitimate institutions such as banks to steal password, credit card, and bank account data and other sensitive information. Then the next is malvertising. Yes, if you are thinking like malware plus advertising, yes, you are correct. Because this techniques involves embedded malware, laden advertisements in the legitimate online advertising channels to spread malware on the system of unsuspecting users. Then next is compromised legitimate websites. Often attackers use compromised websites to infect systems with malware. When an unsuspecting user visit the compromised website, he she unknowingly installs the malware on his her computer, or maybe in on her his her systems, after which the malware performs malicious activity. Then next is drive by download. Yes, this refers to unintentional downloading of the software via the internet. Here, an attacker exploits flaws in browser software to install malware by merely visited a website. Next is spam emails. I hope you guys are aware about some spam emails concept. Like the attackers attach a malicious file to an email and sends the email to multiple target addresses. The victim is tricked into the clicking the attachment and thus executes the malware, thereby compromising his her machine. So this technique is the most common method currently in use by attackers. In addition to email attachments, an attacker may also use email body to embed the malware. The last but not the least, rich text format, or you can say RTF injections. So, RTF injection involves exploiting features of Microsoft Office such as RTF templates files that are stored locally or in a remote machine. So, RTF templates are used for specifying the document format. Attackers inject malicious macros into RTF files and host them on their servers. So when a user opens the document, the malicious template is automatically retrieved from the remote server by evading security system. So yeah, this is all about the overview of these common techniques attackers use to distribute malware on the web. Okay, so the next point is components of malware. So, malware authors and attackers create malware using components that can help them achieve their goals. So, they can use malware to steal information, delete data, change system settings, provide access, or merely multiply and occupy space. So, malware is capable of propagating and functioning secretly. So, some essential components of the most malware program, as I have gave you in my slide, like cryptor, downloader, dropper, exploit, injector, a first scatter, maybe packer, then payload, malicious code, and so on. So, yeah, I have given one liner of those particular components, which you can get the clarity about those particular components. Okay, so the next point, which is a second point, and that is APT. Come on, one more time. APT, Advanced Persistent Threats. So it is defined as a type of network attack whereby an attacker gains unauthorized access to the target network and remains in the network without being detected for a long time. So the word advanced signifies the use of techniques to exploit the underlying vulnerabilities in the system. The word persistent signifies the external command and control system that continuously extracts the data and monitors the victim's network. The word threat signifies human involvement in coordination. So APT attacks are highly sophisticated attacks whereby an attacker uses well-crafted malicious code along with a combination of multiple zero-day exploits to gain access to the target network. So these attacks involves well-planned and coordinate techniques whereby attackers erase evidence of their malicious activities after their objective have been fulfilled. So APT attacks are usually performed on the organizations possessing valuable information such as financial, healthcare, defense, and aerospace, manufacturing, and business organizations. So the main objective of these attacks is to obtain sensitive information rather than sub or tagging the organization and its network. So yeah, there is information obtained during the APT attacks are as follow on my screen. So the third point is Trojan concept. So, Trojan. According to the ancient Greek mythology, the Greek won the Trojan War with the aid of a giant wooden horse that was built to hide their soldiers. So the Greek left this horse in front of the gates of Troy. So the Trojan thought that the horse was a gift from the Greeks, which they had left before apparently withdrawing from the war and brought it into their city. So at night, the Greek soldiers broke out the wooden horse and opened the city gates to let in the rest of the Greek army, so who eventually destroyed the city of Troy. So, inspired by this story, a computer Trojan is a program in which malicious or harmful code is contained inside an apparently harmless program or data which can later gain control and cause damage, such as reviewing the file allocation table on your hard disk. Attackers use computer Trojans to trick the victim into the performing a predefined actions. Trojans are activated upon users specific predefined actions such as unintentionally installing a malicious software, clicking on a malicious link, etc. And upon activation, they can grant attackers unrestricted access to all the data stored on the compromised information system and potentially cause access to all the data and all the several damages. For example, users could download a file that appears to be movie, but when executed, unleashes a dangerous program that erases the hard drive or send credit card numbers and password to the attacker. Yes, it can be possible, right? So the Trojan is wrapped within or attached to a legitimate program, meaning that the program may have functionality that is not apparent to the user. Attackers use victims as a unwitting intermediary to attack others. So they can use victim computers to commit illegal DOS attacks as well. So Trojan works at the same level of privileges as the victim. For example, if the victim has privileges to delete files, transmit information, modifying existing files, and install other program, such as program that provide unauthorized network access and execute privileges elevation attacks, then once the Trojan infect that system, it will possess the same privileges. Furthermore, it can attempt to exploit vulnerabilities to increase the level of access even beyond the user running it. So it's successful. If successful, the Trojan can use such increased privileges to install other malicious code on the victim's system as well. So the compromised system can affect other systems on the network, systems that transmit authenticate credentials such as password over shared network is in clear text or trivially encrypted from a particular vulnerable. If an intruder compromises a system on such a network, he or she may be able to record username and password or other sensitive information as well. Additionally, the Trojan, depending on the actions it performs, may falsely implicate a remote system as a source of an attack by spoofing, thereby causing the remote system to incur a liability. So Trojan enter the system by means such as email attachment, downloads, an instant message, or something like that. Next, how hackers use Trojans. So I have mentioned 10 points that how they can use the Trojans and with the which medium we can get some issues. So there are some lot of things which you need to just be careful, right? So these are the points which we need to keep in our mind, that how hackers use Trojans. Next, Trojans are classified into many categories depending on the exploit functionality target. Some Trojans typed are listed on my screen right now. So you can just pause the video and you can just go through these this particular Trojans types. So first is remote access Trojans, right? Then second is backdoor Trojans, botnet Trojans, rootkit, e-banking, point of sale Trojan, defacement Trojans, service protocol Trojans, mobile Trojans, IoT Trojans, security software disabler Trojans, destructive Trojans, DDoS attack Trojans, command shell Trojans, and so on. So basically, I'm not going into the one by one. So I'll just give you the overview of all these particular in upcoming sessions. Well, the next point is how to infect system using a Trojan. So I gave you the steps. There are 7-step flow which you can follow, and you can infect the system using a Trojan. So an attacker can remotely control the system hardware and software by installing a Trojan on the systems. Once the Trojan is installed on the system, the data became vulnerable to threats. In addition, the attacker can perform attacks on the third-party system. So attacker delivered Trojan in many ways to infect target system. Trojans are included in the bundled shareware or downloadable software. When users download such files, the target systems automatically install the Trojans. Different pop-up ads try to trick users. They are programmed by the attacker such that regardless of whether users click yes or no, the download will begin and the Trojan will automatically install itself on the system. So there are a lot of things which you can have a look into these parts, and yes, there are 7-step flow, so we can just follow this particular part. Well, the next point is exploit kits. Once you get the information about Trojans, you created a Trojans, then we can deploy the Trojans in our target system. But we will go through the demonstration part where we will see how we can create a Trojan and how we can deploy the Trojan to the victim system. Once you deployed the Trojan, we can exploit the particular Trojan, and that's we are just discussing the exploit kits. So exploit kit, or you can say crimeware toolkit, is a use to exploit security loopholes found in software application such as Adobe Reader and Adobe Flash Player by distributing malware such as spyware, viruses, trojans, worms, bots, backdoor, buffer overflow scripts, and so on. So these other payloads to the target system. So yes, we need to just be careful about these particular stuff, and exploit kits come with pre-written exploit code, so thus they are easy to use for an attacker who is not an IT or security expert. They also provide a user-friendly interface to track the infection statistics as well as a remote mechanism to control the compromised compromised system using exploit kits. So the attacker can target browsers, programs that are accessible using browsers, zero-day vulnerabilities, and exploit updated with the new patches instantly. Exploit kits are used against users running insecure or outdated software application on their system. So as you can see that the diagram is showing the general procedure for exploiting kit. The process of exploiting a mechanism might vary depending on the exploit kit used. Okay, so the fourth point is virus and worms concept. First, we discussed about the malware. Second, we discussed about the APT. Then third, we discussed about the Trojan. Now, the fourth point is virus and worms concepts. So, viruses are scourge of modern computing. Computer viruses have potential to wreak havoc on both business and personal computers. So, the lifetime of virus depends on its ability to reproduce itself. Therefore, attacker design every virus code such as the virus replicates itself n times. So the computer virus is self-replicated program that produces its code by attaching copies of itself or to other executable code and operates without the knowledge of consent knowledge or consent of the user, right? So like a biological virus, computer virus is contagious and can contaminate other files. However, viruses can infect external machines only with the assistance of computer users. So some viruses affects computers as soon as their core is executed. Other viruses remains dormant until a predetermined logical circumstances is met. So viruses infect a variety of files such as overlay files, .ovl extension, and executable file like .exe, .sys, .com, .bat, or so on. So they are transmitted through the file downloads, infected disk flash drives, and email attachments. Well, the next point is stages of virus life cycle. So the virus life cycle includes the following 6 stages from the origin to elimination. First, design, replication, launch, detection, incorporation, and execution of the damage routine. So, I have given one-liner points for this particular stages of the virus cycles that, once you go through that, then we can discuss about the working of virus, right? Working of virus. So Virus can attack or target host systems using a variety of methods. They can attach themselves to program and transmit themselves to other programs through specific events. So viruses need such events to take place, as they cannot self-start, infect hardware, or transmission themselves using non-executable files. And trigger and direct attack events can cause a virus to activate and infect the target system when the user triggers attachment received through email, website, malicious advertisements, flashcards, pop-ups, and so on. So the virus can then attack the system's built-in programs, antivirus software, data files, system startup settings, and etc. So these are the infection phases, which you can see that on my screen right now: infection phase and attack phase. So if I just talk about the infection phase, programs modified by virus infection can enable virus functionality to run on these systems. The virus infects the target system after it is triggered and becomes active upon the executions of infected programs, because the program code leads to virus code, right? So yeah, this is a fun first phase of virus, that is infection phase. Yes, so the second phase I have also added on my slide, attack phase. So once virus is spread throughout the target system, they start corrupting the files and programs of the host system. Some viruses can trigger and corrupt the host system only after the triggers event is activated. Some viruses have bugs that replicate themselves and perform activities such as deleting files and increase session times. Virus corrupt their targets only after spreading as intended by their developers. So this is all about the attacker phase. So the next point is, how does a computer get infected by the viruses? So I have mentioned 8 points, right? That to infect a system, first a virus has to enter it. Once the user downloads, install the virus from any source and in any form, it replicates itself to other programs. So then the virus can infect it to the computer in various ways, some of which like downloads, right? So attackers incorporate viruses in popular software programs and upload them to website intended for the download. When a user unknowingly download their infected software and install it, the system will be infected. Maybe a lot of lot of possibilities, like email attachments, then pirated software, failing to install security software, updating software, browser, firewall. So again, the pop-ups, removable media, network access, backup and restore, malicious online ads, social media. There are a lot of ways that the computer get infected by this particular viruses. And yes, I have told you this particular criteria from where we can get the viruses in our computer system. Well, computer viruses are malicious software program written by attackers to gain unauthorized access to the target system. Thus, they compromise the security of the system as well as its performance. For any virus to corrupt a system, it has to first associate its code with executable code. So it is important to understand how viruses add themselves to the target host code, or maybe how they can choose to act upon the target system. So viruses are categorized according to their functioning and targets. Some of the most common types of computer viruses that adversely affect the security of the systems, as I have given you on my system right now. So there are a lot of viruses which I have added on my slide right now. So the last point of virus and worms are how to infect system using a virus or maybe the worms. So attackers can infect system using a various types of viruses in some following steps. Like we can create a viruses, then we can propagate, and we can just deploy the viruses. Then we can create, we can have a virus hoaxes, then we can create fake antivirus, computer worms, and lot of details which we can do it into the systems with the help of some emails, downloads. And there are a lot of techniques by which we can just send the this particular anonymous tool, or you can say anonymous virus, into the target system. And once they click or maybe they install in their system, yes, they will get hacked. So that is all how about how to infect systems using a virus. And yes, obviously in lab demonstration session, we will have a look into how we can create a virus, how we can deploy, and how we can send them, and how we can access the system with the help of this virus, worms, maybe the trojans, which we had discussed in the last topic, maybe the APT, or maybe the malware. So the next point is ransomware, right? Ransomware is a type of malware that restricts access to the infected computer systems or critical files and documents stored on it, and then demands an online ransom payments to the malware creator to remove user restrictions. So ransom might encrypt files stored on the system's hard disk, or merely lock the systems and display messages meant to trick the user into the paying the ransom. So usually ransomware spreads as a Trojan entering a system through email attachments, hacked websites, infected programs, app downloads from untrusted sites, vulnerabilities in the network services, and so on. So after execution, the payload in the ransomware runs and encrypts the victim's data, files, and documents like that, which can be decrypted only by the malware author. So in some cases, user interaction is restricted using a simple payload. So there are some ransomwares which you can just get the list on my on my slides as well. So as we discussed till now, virus, a type of malicious software that can replicate and attach itself to legitimate programs. So virus will attack on your software files. Come on, one more time. Virus will attack on your software files if you are a victim. Then second, worms, self-replicating malware that spreads across the computer network without needing user interactions. So it will attack you on your actually hardware. So virus will attack you on your software. Worms will attack you on your hardware. Then trojans, which I have told you that it will be combined form of the original exe or executable file and the trojan file which you have created, right? So that is a concept of trojan. And ransomware, you can say it is a type of kidnapping, that I have kidnapped your computer, now you need to pay me some amount of in a ransom, and then or maybe it is a kind of bitcoin or something like cryptocurrency I will use for the payment purpose. Otherwise you will you will catch me, right? So basically ransomware is a type of kidnapping. Well, the next point is very important, and that is malware analysis. So attackers use sophisticated malware techniques as cyber weapons to steal sensitive data. So the malware can inflict intellectual and financial losses on the target, regardless of whether it is an individual, a group of people, or maybe the organization. So it spreads from one system to another with ease and stealth. So malware analysis is a process of reverse engineering a specific piece of malware to determine its origin, functionality, maybe potential impact. So by performing malware analysis, one can extract detailed information about the malware, and malware analysis is an integral part of the penetration testing process as well. So why malware analysis is important? So why it is important, because we can determine what exactly happened, we can determine the malicious intent of the malware, then we can identify indicators of compromise, we can determine the complexity level of intruder, then we can also identify the exploited vulnerability, then we can identify the extent of damage caused by the intrusion, then we can catch the preparator responsible for installing the malware, and we can find the signature for host and network based intrusion detection system, then we can evaluate the harm from an intrusion, and so on. So there are a lot of important points which I can mention, but as of now these are the important points which I have mentioned in my this particular slides, right? And yes, there are some types of malware analysis, that static and the dynamic, right? Well, also known as the code analysis, it involves going through the executable binary code without executing it to have a better understanding of malware and its purpose. And in dynamic malware analysis, it is also known as a behavioral analysis. So it will involve the executing the malware code to know how it interact with the host system and it impacts on the system after the infection. So obviously it is recommended that both static and dynamic analysis be performed to obtain a detailed understanding of the functionality of the malware, but you can use according to your requirement, right? Okay, so now if I am just coming to the point of countermeasures, so there is first countermeasures about the Trojan. So I have mentioned all the countermeasures of the Trojans on my slide. You can pause this particular video and you can just read out, because I have added all these particular important points for the Trojan countermeasures. Then the next is backdoor countermeasures. I have added 6 points for the backdoor countermeasures. So these are 6 points which you can just read out. Just please pause the video and just read out, because it is your homework that you need to just pause your video and we can just read out these particular points. Then the next is virus and worms countermeasures, right? We can also read, I have added 12 points which are important for the countermeasures of virus and worms. Well, the last point of this particular session, that is the anti-malware software. So the attacker uses malware to commit online fraud or theft. So thus the use of anti-malware software is recommended to help detect malware, remove it, and repair any damage it might cause. Right, so I have added some of the tools which you can use. So anti-Trojan software is a tool or program that is designed to identify and prevent malicious Trojans or malware from infecting computer system or electronic devices. So anti-Trojan tools may employ scanning strategies as well as a freeware or licensed tools to detect Trojans, rootkits, backdoors, and other type of potential damaging softwares. Well, the first tool, the name is Kaspersky Internet Security. That is a nice tool which we can use. Along with Kaspersky, we can also go through the McAfee, Norton 360, Bitdefender, Hitman Pro, Malwarebyte, Zimana, then Soft, malicious software removal tool, then Super Anti-Spyware, Plumbytes, anti-malware. So there are a lot of tools which you can use. Right, I will not recommend any kind of this one tool. I am not promoting any kind of software here, but yeah, I have just got the list on the best search engines. But yep, I have got this particular list and I am sharing with you guys as well. Okay, so the next is antivirus software. So it is essential to update antivirus tools to monitor the data passing through a system. Such tools may follow specific or generic method to detect viruses. So generic method looks for virus-like performance rather than a specific virus. So these tools do not specify the virus type but warn the use of possible viruses infections. So generic method can raise the false alarm, hence they do not perform well in terms of detecting the precious virus forms. So specific method look for known virus signature in the antivirus database and ask the user to choose the necessary action to be taken, such as repair and maybe the delete. So it is good practice for organization to install the most recent version of the antivirus software and regularly update it to keep up with the introduction of new viruses in the market. Updating of antivirus software by respective vendors is a continuous process. So yeah, I added some list, right? So I'm not again recommending, or I am not saying that please only use this particular tool, but yeah, I gave you a lot of tool list. So yes, whatever you have recommended or whatever you have chosen, yes, you can just choose these particular tools. So Bitdefender antivirus plus, maybe the Calmwine, Kaspersky antivirus, McAfee, Norton, Avast, Easy, AVG, Avira, Trend, then Panda, then Webroot, and so on. So there are a lot of tools which we can use. So yeah, that's all from this particular session. Let's have a quick look into the lab demonstration session.